Never underestimate the power that you have to make a change. This is actually a quote that I hold dearly to my heart for the past 11 to 12 years in my journey, and today I'm going to share with you my story. My journey started in 2011, and it first started when I realized that my classmates were using one side of the paper, and even though the other side was blank, they would actually throw it away. So I went, hey, why not you pass me the paper, I'll use the blank side, and then I'll recycle it later for you. And that was essentially how it kick-started, and I was first known as the paper girl. I'm not someone who actually confronts people and tell them, you should be making a change, you should be recycling instead. But instead, I like to do things a little bit subtly. I would tell them through different ways or try to inspire them through different ways as well. And that kick-started my own recycling habits. For my family, I guess it's a little bit different. So I actually wrote an agreement and asked them to sign it to kind of encourage them to recycle. All they had to do was to place their recyclables near the kitchen sink. I would actually wash it and then I'll recycle it for them. Well, 2 out of 3 of my family actually signed the agreement, and I was really happy. At least it was 2 out of 3. Moving forward to 2018, that was when I found out about this term called a low or zero waste lifestyle that was widely practiced in America and in Australia as well. And I told myself, okay, let me try to embark this journey. Fast forward to 2018, that was when it led me to start my passion project, my full-time job today called the Sustainability Project. And essentially, all we're trying to do is to encourage everyone to take one step for the environment, no matter how big or small. We always say that one step is better than no step at all. So we run different initiatives and different projects to tackle different waste streams. For example, giving the used Lunar New Year containers a second life, or making used packaging a norm by circulating used packaging back to other businesses for them to reuse it in their online deliveries, or even repurposing coffee grounds through our workshops. And the main goal is really simple. It's just to send as little waste as possible to Semakau Landfill. So just a show of hands, who here has heard of Semakau Landfill? Wow! Who has been to Semakau Landfill? Okay, so this is how Semakau Landfill actually looks like. And Semakau Landfill, if you're not too sure, where is it? It's actually in Singapore itself, and it's the only landfill that we have left. And one of the things that we actually do is to bring people down to Semakau Landfill to see the amount of space that we have left as a nation. So if you're wondering where is it exactly, it's 8 km south of Singapore, and it's pretty exclusive. You can only visit this island 3 times a week at specific timing, and you have to take a 45 minutes ride over down to the island. So actually, what's pressing about the issue of Semakau Landfill is that it was originally supposed to be full by 2045. Unfortunately, from what you see, that deadline has been pushed forward by 10 years to 2035. You might be wondering why. What happened along the way? Well, essentially it's the rate of consumption that we're having, as well as the amount of waste that we're generating that has pushed our timeline, and we only have 12 years left before the Semakau Landfill is filled up. I had the privilege of actually visiting Semakau Landfill back in 2019. And when you go to the island, there's a specific spot where they actually let you drop off and see the amount of space there is left as the water body that's in front of you. So when I stood there, honestly, I would say it's not a lot of space. You can literally see the end of it, and it's like this swimming pool that is waiting to be filled up. So I thought to myself, I had so many thoughts and so many questions. Why is nobody talking about Semakau Landfill? What are we actually doing for Semakau Landfill? And are we even doing enough? And whenever we bring community groups down to Semakau Landfill, there's this one question that gets asked all the time, which is what's going to happen when we hit 2035 and when the Semakau landfill is truly filled up. And you know what's the scariest part for me? Is that there's no answer for now. We have tried high and low for searching for the answer, and for our country who is always planning ahead of time, it scares me that we don't have an answer. Are we going to convert an island of ours to become a landfill? Or are we going to build a new landfill, taking into consideration that Semakau landfill costs around 610 million to be built? So when I stood there, I made three promises to myself. Firstly, is to talk about Semakau landfill as much as I can. It's my life goal to keep talking and talking and talking about Semakau landfill. With every talk that I have, with every workshop that I do, with every engagement that comes through the door, I would always dedicate one slide, which is to share about Semakau landfill. The second thing was actually using my social media page to share on what people can do in their own personal capacity to reduce the amount of waste that they're generating. Because at the end of the day, to extend the life of Semakau landfill is not just me alone. We require the help of everybody, businesses, organizations, community, individuals, and they need to take active steps to reduce their waste. And the third thing that I promised myself was to bring as many people as possible to Semakau landfill. I wanted to make it my life goal to keep bringing people back again and again to the landfill itself. Because honestly, once you stand there and see the amount of space there is, when you see that it looks like a swimming pool that's slowly waiting to be filled with all the nation's trash, it really does have an impact on your life and your whole perspective and relationship with waste. So fortunately enough, just last week, we brought the last group of community down to Semakau landfill, and there's over 200 individuals that we have brought to the landfill itself to see and witness the space left. And for me, there's this one question that people ask that kind of make me feel, a bit surprised as well. So they ask me, Jo, do you really think that you can extend the life of Semakau landfill? You're only one girl. This sounds like a crazy bold dream that you actually have. You can call me overly optimistic or very, very stubborn, but I do believe that all of us can make a change. All of us have the power to make an influence and inspire others around us. And for the 11 and 12 years journey that I have, these are actually the three lessons that I learned over the years. Firstly, is that the journey will definitely not be easy at all. Sometimes people don't understand, why am I so passionate about Semakau landfill? Why do I keep talking about going low waste, going zero waste? Isn't there anything else that I'm interested in? Or sometimes they might laugh at me or ask me, are you sure whatever you're doing even makes sense? Do you think that you can save the earth? I'm not going to lie that this journey sometimes get a bit lonely, and it can make me feel a bit dejected at times. But I do hold on to little rays of hope, I would say, in this marathon of change. And all these rays of hope could be, for example, community members telling me that I was inspired by you to make a change, and this is what I did in my own community. Or it could even be my friends when they bring their own containers and their bottles, and they send me photos and pictures and say, hey, look, Jo, I'm actually recycling today, or I helped to prevent one container from going down to the landfill. So I'd say that all these rays of hopes and all these positive messages that I get helps me get through this journey. The second thing that I learned is change will happen. It's just how fast or how slow. After all, I waited 12 years for sustainability to finally be something like a norm in Singapore. Back then when I was recycling, it was considered weird. You might be regarded like, why are you recycling? People always ask me, nobody's doing it. Why do you do it? And over the years, I have seen how community have changed. The mindset of people have changed as well. A lot more people now, they're starting to recycle. And not only recycle, they try to reduce their waste from the very beginning. So ultimately, I feel that change will happen. You just have to be a bit patient. And the other thing I learned was actually change will kind of push you to do things that you never imagined. I'm not sure whether you will believe me, but actually I'm an introvert. And doing speaking engagements or sharing with people about sustainability or even putting myself out there on social media, it's really honestly very scary for me. I have to mentally prepare myself every time I'm going to share. But I remember the very first engagement that I got, a speaking engagement in particular. A client wrote to me and asked, "Would you like to share your story to our colleagues?" And I thought, really? You want to hear me share about my story? Nobody really has asked me to do that before. So I decided, why not? And I think it really unlocked a new potential in me, because that was when I had everybody's attention, and everybody was then willing to listen to what I had to say about reducing your waste, about sustainability, about how to combat climate change, and what you should do in your lifestyle to reduce the amount of waste. So moving forward from there, I became a little bit more comfortable with speaking in front of a crowd, and obviously it's only for sustainability matters that I'm very comfortable in talking about. And from doing things like talks to workshops to even podcasts, that was something that really pushed me to do and to share about, just because I was so passionate to inspire others to make a change in their own lifestyle and do what they can for Semakau Landfill. So those were the 3 different things that I learned over my 11 to 12 years journey. And most importantly, what I wanted to share was that all of us, we might not know it, but we actually do have the power to make a change. Whether is it the actions you take, whether is it the choices you make, or it could even be the information that you share with your family, with your friends, with your community. There's this sort of ripple effect that happens whenever we make a change that we might not see happening as well. So who knows, you might be the next change maker for a cause that you're very passionate about as well. So I hope that my story today has inspired you to never ever underestimate the power that you have to make a change. Thank you.